Hey, John. Good morning.
It is 6 o'clock in the morning my time, and
Bright and early.
10 o'clock at
10
night
p.m.
your
my
time.
time.
Yes,
Yep.
I'm in Cork, Ireland.
How is Cork, Ireland?
As far as I can tell, it's the same as Portland, Oregon. I
Rainy and green?
No, it's actually been beautiful. The weather here's been lovely. Although I guess I did notice that it rained a little bit outside the window yesterday, but not while I was outside. It was a lovely morning and a lovely evening. It's a relatively quick trip for me. It's my first trip to Ireland, but other than I guess a dinner in a castle last night, I'm not getting to see any sights. I'm in the same office park that I could be in anywhere in the world. So
But dinner in a castle.
that was pretty cool. So
You'd have to go to Vegas to do that here.
and yeah, that it doesn't look quite so cool. But it was like what's it called? Black Rock Castle. It was a very small castle. Evidently, they've turned it into an observatory now, but it's pretty
An observatory that sells
cool.
food?
well. The restaurant was kind of built into one of the walls. So,
Gotcha.
but yeah, it was that was cool. But that's literally the only site I'm seeing.
I am also probably very tired. I got up super early this morning to get daughter number one off to Japan on her study abroad trip. So
I just noticed you.
she is still in the air.
Wow.
So
Well, it's a long trip to the other side of the world.
yes, it is. So it's been a long day. So this may be a short podcast because I'm already starting to yawn.
Yeah, but we've done 72 in a row without fail. We can't like break the streak. It's been good.
Yeah, that's right.
He says yawning.
Sorry. All right, so jump right in.
right.
Shall we start it with the
There's a bunch
follow-up?
of follow-up. So this will be the follow-up. This will be the follow-up episode.
There you go. The follow-up episode. So number one,
Yes, dude.
my little app,
Yes.
Snip,
Yes.
it was Sherlocked,
Totally. Like,
which I'm actually very excited about.
oh, Sherlocked refers to an old Mac app where there used to be an app on the old Mac, and then Apple built the functionality directly in, right?
Yep.
But
So it's now
yeah.
just a running joke that anytime somebody integrates a feature or some aspect of a program into something else, you've got Sherlocked.
Yes, that's nice. You've become the verb.
Yes.
So who did this?
Overcast, yours and my favorite
I love
podcast
Overcast.
player, just added this feature, I want to say 4 days ago, or 3 or 4 days ago it came out. And I actually got a text message from Peter Woolley, who's been on the show before. He said, "Hey, you've been Sherlocked." I'm like, "What?" And I went and looked it up. I'm like, "Oh, cool."
Yep. And may I say, so I haven't actually tried to use the feature yet. In fact, I'm not sure I've updated to the version, but it looks like he did a really nice job.
Yes, it's as I looked at it, I was like, "That's what I want to get to eventually."
That was a good idea.
That's how I wanted to get this to eventually. So now I can either take Castnip and just make it a full-fledged podcast app because I'm already 80% of the way there. Or I could pull it, or I could just try focusing on the features that are not in the Overcast one. Not everybody uses Overcast. So.
No.
And I think I'm now up to 200 downloads. So people are using it.
That's cool. Well,
We'll see.
I don't know. I don't think you should pull the app. I think you should. You should do. Keep
There's
tweaking
plenty of room for lots of them, but
it. Yeah.
the monetization scheme I came up with may not work as well if it's just a free feature of other podcast apps. So
Yeah.
anyways, it's a great idea for a feature. I'm surprised more podcast apps have not done something like this sooner.
Right.
Which was the whole reason I built it in the first place.
Right. Well, if
So.
podcast sharing becomes the thing, sorry to put a lot of potential work on your plate, but Overcast is only available for iOS, so you could do that for Android.
Shift this over to Android. Yeah, we'll see.
Be the Overcast of Android. No. Okay, so let's see. So I also had a couple of pieces of follow up in here. But the first one is evidently last week I was not thinking straight. Not that I think I know this answer even in my right mind, but we had Brian set me straight that it's a blueberry field according to his parents. I think he said had 10 acres of blueberries, and they call it a blueberry field. So it's not an orchard.
But didn't one of us? Did I say? Let's call it a field?
I didn't re-listen to that part. I'm sorry.
I was going to say I thought we had guessed field, but so maybe we should go back and listen to see which one of us was right.
Officially field. I'm sure it was you. That's
all right. Blueberry field.
Blueberry
I like
field.
It.
Okay. The second thing that I had was Anki, the hardware startup, and this is
the cool little robots.
The cool little robots. So this is follow up, I guess. I thought of this at least as follow up from your discussion or topic the couple weeks ago when we were talking about the Eero Wi-Fi mesh Wi-Fi startup getting acquired for a pittance, effectively.
Right.
By Amazon. And, Anki was a startup also trying to do hardware. They were on stage at an Apple keynote a couple years ago. Yeah. But hardware is really hard. It's not software. I tell you, the powerful thing about software is the marginal cost of zero. Right?
Yeah.
And it's such a powerful function that it I think people even today underestimate it. So yeah. I don't know if it's worth saying this out loud, but marginal cost of something is the cost of selling something at the margin, which means so after you've sold your nth item, how much does it cost you to sell the n plus 1th? And since software development is generally all upfront costs, you can think of it as it costs let's say $10 million to sell the first item, but it doesn't cost you anything extra to sell the second item or the third item or the 10,001st item. And
right.
What that really drives value to scale. But hardware is hard because you selling your 10,001st robot still kind of costs you a lot of cash.
I had you actually put this one up, but being a parent that uses downtime and app limits and screen times on my boy's iPhone, I found this tweet interesting. Kids are discovering that you know what they can do? They can bypass the screen time limits just by setting the device clock temporarily. They just change the time. I remember doing this kind of stuff as a kid to get around when some piece of software expired.
Right. You'd set the time way back.
Change the system clock backwards, and hey, you still have 7 weeks of time to use whatever it is.
Right.
And then, so, kids will find ways to get around limits and things that they put there. They're great. Kids are great fuzzing testers.
That is a good one. Yeah, I've read similar things with kids in classes using Google Docs as basically chat
apps.
Apps, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this
my kids do that.
Yeah.
To get around the fact that the schools block chat apps, they just use a Google Docs
right
sheet, which has
chat functionality.
Anyways, yeah.
Or you could just use the Word doc itself to like just type.
Because it auto updates between, it live updates with
Right.
each other.
And you
so
can
that's
can
what
share
they do.
editing, which is honestly what we're doing right at the moment. We've got a Google Docs
Yep.
note up that has the notes for the podcast in it. So yeah, I can see where your cursor is
Yeah.
right now.
And my little note there was, along these same lines, I was doing something similar to get around the age restrictions. So when Mobile Me came out, I had the old, what was it called before it was iTools? So an Apple account, when they first started giving their Apple accounts online, it was iTools, and then it was .Mac. Oh, that's what it was. It was iTools, then it was .Mac, and then it was Mobile Me. Mm-hmm. And by the time Mobile Me came around, I thought I should snag my kids' names so that they could have their name at me.com. But when you would sign up, you couldn't sign up. It was against the rules, or it wouldn't let you sign up with their actual birthday if they were under 13. So I just put in the correct birthday, but changed the year so that they were 13. And then every year on their birthday, I would just decrement the year until it finally until they were finally 13. So, there are always ways to get around whatever you think whatever problem you're trying to solve.
Right.
So, anyways.
Workarounds.
That was fun.
Okay, that's cool. I don't actually know what that was follow up from, but I think it was cool. My next one was that we talked a little bit about, and I think I even dug up the link and put this in the show notes for last week for Let's Encrypt, which is transitioning to their root. But when I was looking up the link, there were a couple of items in the article that I wished that I had on the tip of my tongue, so I could have said. So Let's Encrypt is the service that makes it trivial to get SSL certificates. Super easy, and they are moving from being cross-signed by a trusted identity. So IdenTrust actually, and to using their own root certificate, because their own root certificate is now available in most browsers and in many operating systems as well. So, but the 2 points in the article that I wanted to pull out. So the first was, so let me actually read this quote. So we'd like to thank IdenTrust for providing a cross signature while we worked to get our own root trusted. They've been wonderful partners. IdenTrust believed in our mission to encrypt the entire web when it seemed like a long-term dream. Together, in less than 5 years, we have helped raise the percentage of encrypted page loads on the web from 39% to 78%. And it's true. Wow. Let's Encrypt has really, really made it so that there's no excuse to not have
it's
SSL.
One click.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually mostlysecurity.com, our own website, is Let's Encrypt one click GitHub pages website. So
I actually didn't know you had done like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess I've only personally used the command line, but it's amazing. I mean, it's very cool. So, but then that's the first data point. Really, it's over the last 5 years, the amount of traffic on the web that is TLS versus non has gone from 39% to 78%. And I think
effectively doubled.
Yeah, they were very carefully phrasing that sentence that, we've helped to raise the percentage, but they deserve a good chunk of the credit in my opinion. So,
well, I will tell you that about 4 different websites that I run would probably not be HTTPS without this, because it was just, I didn't want to spend the money for it. because it wasn't that big a deal to me. But if it's a free checkbox, yeah, why not?
Yeah, exactly. And Troy Hunt has got some nice collateral too about trying to get everything to HTTPS and why that's worthwhile in the as a goal too. But so the second data point that was in there that I thought was interesting and wanted to pull out was that Let's Encrypt is currently providing certificates for more. I think this is actually a quote. Let's Encrypt is currently providing certificates for more than 160 million websites. So I presume that's a count of how many certificates they've generated. I don't know how that count is being given, but 160 million.
Million current, active,
good.
not expired certs, probably.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right. But, I mean, one of the things about Let's Encrypt, at least they didn't let you do a certificate for more than like 90 days at one point in time. Maybe that was a long time ago, but...
I honestly don't know if it's still 90 days or if it's longer because I just do a one-click. I check a checkbox that says, "Would you like to do HTTPS with Let's Encrypt?" Yes, and it just always keeps it up to date,
right,
in the background. So
exactly. So yeah, totally nice. All right, so that was Let's Encrypt.
Cool. Well, the last one. We haven't talked about cryptocurrencies for a while. So
okay. So we need to.
I had to bring it up. So there is a cryptocurrency called Tether, which the concept behind Tether is it's a stable coin, meaning that one Tether is equal to $1, and trying to keep that maintenance. And they've said forever that, and we have an accounting of, we have in our bank account one actual dollar. It's almost like the gold standard, right? We have $1 worth of gold for every dollar that they issue as a government, and that stopped in 1972 or something like that. Well, Tether, that was their assertion. We have $1 in a bank account for every Tether we issue. That turns out to not be true, and there is a cryptocurrency with some interesting relationships with Tether called Bitfinex. And I really don't know how to describe the rest of this other than they shuffled a bunch of money back and forth to the point of even transferring $1 billion, that's billion with a B, from one place to another, from one entity to another without any kind of documentation whatsoever. So a lot of just kind of fast and loose playing. And so, yay, cryptocurrencies. I think really a lot of the problems here is these types of scams and things that are going on raises the ire of regulatory industries. And so they're going to step in and start to regulate stuff that people hope doesn't get regulated. So it kind of it also gets in the way of any actual innovation or real ideas around cryptocurrency and how cryptocurrency can be used and how blockchains can be used like in a beneficial way. So just another...
So I hadn't seen this, and I haven't had a chance to read the article yet, but that's where the money is.
Yeah. And, since it's not really regulated, they can transfer millions of dollars. One of the reasons I threw this in follow-up was because it references this article that we'll link in Fortune magazine, references the Quadriga cryptocurrency in Canada where the CEO died, and
quote, unquote,
all of a sudden...
Did he really die? I never saw a follow-up from that.
I think so, but... Just another reminder to people who may be new to cryptocurrencies. There's a lot of fraud and scams out there, so be very careful what you're doing. Make sure you're paying attention. And even if you are paying attention, you still might get scammed. So
yeah,
just heads up.
Yeah, I saw some other cryptocurrency articles this week that I kind of deliberately didn't put in the top potential topics.
Yes, there's plenty.
Yeah,
There's plenty.
it's okay. So let's jump to topics, and I've kind of got two tonight. The first one,
I'll let you take them both.
yeah. So, did you look at the Twitter link that I posted in there?
Yes, I read that.
So this is
Telnet on wheels. I love it.
Telnet on wheels, literally a Telnet server on wheels. So I assume. So I didn't see a mainstream article about this in any way, shape, or form. I did actually do a little bit of Googling around to see if I could, come up with an article instead of, some quote unquote, some dude on the internet. But this is a picture. This is a tweet that has a picture of an in-vehicle infotainment system running, and based on comments later down, it must be Hyundai of some sort. And so, it says it has a Telnet server running, literally a Telnet server on wheels. Oh yeah, and it'll execute anything named Hyundai update.exe if you plug in a USB drive into the USB port. No signature verification. So, and anyway, so there's a couple of other screenshots in this thread where he's showing it loading a file. So presumably he's put a file called Hyundai update.exe in there and it's executing. And then the second screenshot, it looks like he's deploying Linux perhaps on that. So I don't know. I guess you better be brave with your car if you're going to do this. And so a couple things about this, but the first is that, of course, so the first is that we demonstrated a IVI hack like years ago. In fact, Steve Grobman, the CTO of McAfee, did a demo at one of his presentations, one of his sort of main stage keynotes with it like 4 years ago, I want to say. So, I mean, this isn't a new area, I guess, but this appears to be a built-in. Let me choose my words carefully, but we demoed that against a aftermarket, kind of intentionally, but if you look at this, there's a whole wealth of problems here. That the first of which is that James here should not be saying this publicly. This should be disclosed to Hyundai if they're the manufacturer, and they should have 90 days to respond. They should have 90, responsible disclosure policy, give them 90 days to have an update. And, this is the sort of thing that I would expect there to be a recall and for them to fix. But so, at the beginning, you have to say, look, this is not how you do a responsible disclosure. Even though he does say, quote unquote, currently working on the disclosure write-up. If anyone has experience and wants to get some binaries working on the system, email me. But the second comment I would have is, so there was a follow-up quote from somebody else, Ian Tabor, I think this is here, but he said, great find, PSA, or Peugeot and Citroen, IVIs have open Telnet if you tether via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. So you can, this allowed access to GPS and telephone data /history. and I disclosed it a few years back. The response from PSA was, it's up to the user to secure the Wi-Fi. What? I didn't even get a thank you. So just because you do responsibly disclose doesn't mean that they'll actually fix it, and then you can go wide on something. But anyway, just because you do disclose it properly doesn't mean they'll actually fix it. But this looks like a Windows CE built into the infotainment. So I think that I was
just surprised that Windows CE is still around.
At least he's not saying what year this is, or there's no other info about what model or year any in the thread. So there's at least a little bit of obscurity there, but I mean, there's enough data just in the fact that it'll execute anything named Hyundai update.exe to be able to, throw some stuff on a USB stick and go plug it into a bunch of, Hyundai IVIs. Mm-hmm. Picturing somebody down at CarMax. I just kind of want to test drive a Sonata. How about a 90? How about a 90? How about a 2014 Sonata? Sorry.
Anyway. Take it back. Yeah, there's something wrong with the in-dash thing here. Can I try a different one?
Yeah. Wait, why are you sticking that USB drive in all the cars? I just have my music. Yeah. No, that's not cool. Not cool. But anyway, I thought that thread was ouch. Honestly, Hyundai's been on my short list of kind of cheap cars to buy that I might go, and maybe not at the moment. Okay. My second topic was did you see the TurboTax link?
I did. I saw the turn the robots off.
Yeah. Again, both of these neither of these are super big topics or anything like that, but this is, I guess this is more just dev than security per se, but so this is an article by ProPublica that they caught, I'll use that word, caught TurboTax, or Intuit is the company behind TurboTax, deliberately hiding the free file page from search engines. So robot.txt, or you can also, in metadata of the page itself, specify whether a page should be searched and or searchable or indexed in Google or Bing or DuckDuckGo or whoever else is running a search engine these days. And so H&R Block and Intuit have specifically agreed with the IRS. So the IRS wants to increase, probably tax compliance is the end goal there, but they want to make it easier for people to file income taxes, and they want it to be free online. And so in exchange for the IRS promising not to go build their own online, free online tool, the companies kind of banded together and agreed to offer free file options to people. I don't know what the constraints exactly are.
Yeah.
But
you got to get to the numbers. That's the thing. Yeah. That drives me nuts about this one.
Which part?
The fact that 70% of all taxpayers are eligible for the free file options. So 70% of taxpayers are eligible to use the IRS thing that they don't build because these other companies are supposed to offer it to be able to file their taxes for free. Right. But since they're hiding it and not promoting it and not showing anybody. They're kind of being a little sneaky with it. Only 3% of eligible taxpayers actually use the free to file. So because of this behavior, what's the math there?
67%.
Yeah. Are not getting they're paying money for something they shouldn't.
Right.
I mean, taxes are already kind of a pain in the U.S. So, anyways, yeah, they're on my short list.
Definitely. I mean, it's deceptive marketing essentially. But yeah, so in the article that we'll link, and as a developer, as a web developer, it's pretty easy to add something to robots.txt or add the meta tag that says, no index. But they're for the free file page, basically, Intuit are literally had made it so that if you searched for, free tax filings, you would never be able to find that page. You would have to go to Intuit and somehow dig through their site navigation in order to find it. And I've read lots of things over the years that based to most people, Google is the interface of the internet, right? And browsers these days have only helped that along in the fact that they have a default search engine. And it used to be that you had to type a URL into the top bar, and nowadays you just type words, and if it does not look like a URL, it goes to and does a Google search.
Yeah,
right.
That's my kid. That's how my kids use the internet. They don't go to websites. They don't have bookmarks. They don't do any of that. They just start typing into Google, into the search bar, I want this thing, YouTube, and then the keywords, and then they click the link that shows up. So if it doesn't show up as a search result, they don't find it.
Right. It's going to be funny in 5 years when, quote unquote, the dark web is a site that's not indexed. I'm sorry. It's the dim web. So, so let's see. I thought I had another point up there at the top. I'm looking at my notes here. So no. So essentially, the meta point there is just that they were actively working to hide this feature.
Yeah, you don't accidentally put this into your robots.txt.
No.
This is not a oops, we weren't paying attention.
Correct.
Thing.
Correct.
This is a deliberate thing.
Has to be. Yeah. Oh, somebody magically typed those words. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, look at the images in the article. But so H&R Block is the second biggest tax company or I don't know what you call them, like tax assistants in the United States, and it didn't say that they were doing the exact same thing, but I didn't catch it if it did, but if you they issued a statement that said that you could get to their page with a specific Google query, and it's FFA H&R Block. So you had to know to type FFA, right? So I was like, so this is the sum scope of my research for this podcast. But I typed that in, and the top link is not to an article that will help you in any way, or it's not to a site that will help you in any way. It is a site on the H&R Block help pages that describes what the program is, but the only links on that page don't go to the H&R Block like start filing free. It goes to the IRS, and you have to go to I think it was the second Google link on the link on the Google results that did appear to go to something where you could actually start a free filing on H&R Block. So there was an update. There were 2 updates added to this article at the very bottom. So the first one is into it saying, we're going to make a review of our search practices to make sure we're achieving our goal of increasing eligible taxpayers' awareness of the IRS free file program. Yeah. And
we got caught with our hand in the cookie jar. We were just checking to make sure there were cookies.
We're underground. You're just checking to make sure. Nice. There's your title there, Eric. We were just checking to make sure there are cookies. All right. Shall we do something fun?
Yeah. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I'll go first, and you can wrap us up. So this was a tweet by
I did like this one.
A guy who I've kind of been watching this whole micro mobility space, mainly because Asymco, somebody that I follow,
right,
is kind of tweeting about it, and so micro mobility, it's scooters and bike shares and stuff like that, and lots of data about how much we spend to have empty cars everywhere. Anyway, it's a lot of money and a lot of time. But so anyway, so this guy, he's like, instead of getting a co-working space in San Francisco, he basically set up a desk and Wi-Fi out in a parking space next to the road because it's cheaper. He's like, he says, I have set up at 16th and Market and paid the meter a reasonable $2.75 an hour to sit and work outside in I don't know how big's the average parking space, like 10 foot by 20 foot, maybe something like that.
Yeah,
pretty cheap when it comes to square footage compared to downtown San Francisco rates of like a co-working space. So anyway, I thought that was funny. There's some pictures in this thread of him sitting there, and also let's see, it said down below it's like the meter person just drove by. I looked at him, he at me, then he moved on. And then there's another picture of we're getting reported to the SFMTA Muni since we don't have a license plate. And so she called her supervisors. They decided not to make a fuss out of it. So, and then later, it's getting cold. I should have worn jackets or pants. Anyway, I thought this was a nice stunt and very illuminating. So there you go. That's my something fun for the week.
All right. Well, my something fun is More Cowbell, which I'm sure you remember. I know you remember the Saturday Night Live skit. Guy comes out and in a band and starts saying, "We need more cowbell."
Oh yeah.
Well,
Will Ferrell.
It's just an absurd skit, and as most skits on Saturday Night Live, which actually I don't watch as much as I used to, but they're just mostly absurd, and some are funny, some are not. Well, I guess someone had tweeted out saying that I wish people would stop talking about the more cowbell thing because it has no meaning. There's no actual humor there. The humor is in getting people to claim that they get the joke when there is no joke to get. And I don't know. Let's see. I don't know where it is, but a guy, William Bibiani, he's got a blue check, so he must be important. Actually goes through and in 30 or 40 tweets.
I had not read this whole thread. I had seen the thread and I saw a little bit about the first, but oh my gosh, he's on and on and on. Like, this is fantastic.
Is, and it's about layers. And then he says, okay, and here's a part. This is absurdist humor. And then he goes on, and this is, irony. And this part is, and it's just, he goes into all the layers. And I don't know if when Saturday Night Live did this skit, they actually thought of all this or.
But that was funny.
It was just a funny, absurd skit. But this is almost funnier to see it going from, one layer to another layer of this is why it's so funny, and just kind of really telling the guy who says there is no joke, saying there's about 50 different jokes.
Yes, and layers.
If you want to look at it. Anyways,
so I love this. Right down at the bottom here. There's There's a reason critics rarely delve deeply into joke construction. It transforms a gag that seems completely natural into an unwieldy form of verbal algebra. As we break, I love the verbal algebra. As we break down all the little contrasts, tensions, and twists that underlie the various genres of comedy. In other words, the old saw is true. If you have to explain it, it isn't funny. Yes.
Right.
And after like so many tweets, but this is fantastic. This is a very, I give you a gold star for your something fun, my friend. This is
it is entertaining. So you got to go read the tweet. We'll link the tweet.
Read the whole thread.
It's entertaining at least. Yeah, the whole thread. It's funny.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
All right. There you go.
All
Not
right,
bad for a show. 8 hours apart.
Yeah. Well, you should really crash after a very, very, very long day, and I actually have to throw the rest of my clothes in my bag and catch a cab to work.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah. It's actually tomorrow for you. So we recorded this on 2 different days at the same time.
I always live in the future. You know that. That's true.
Well done,
two
John.
different days.
Well done.
Okay. All right. Get some rest. I'll talk to you later.
Have a good day.
Bye.
We'll see you.